All right, guys. So happy asynchronous Wednesday. So I'm going to go through this notes section for your asynchronous assignment, and there's classwork that goes with it, and we'll get to that. So we have to talk about imperialism in Japan, and that's what today is all about. So, like we said the other day, we're going to talk about how the act of imperialism takes place, and then what the impacts of that are. So today we will talk about how Japan is imperialized, and then tomorrow we will talk about Japan's reaction to that imperialism. So how did Japan become opened, quote unquote, to the rest of the world? That's kind of what we're talking about here. So we're going to need a little background first. At the time, 1800s or so, Japan is still living under a shogunate. So all the way, they still have the feudal system in place that existed, in the Middle Ages. They held on to this for 1,000 years. And one of the hallmarks of the ruling dynasty that's in power, the Tokugawa shogunate, is isolationism. Essentially, Japan and their government believe that Japan should remain kind of isolated from the rest of the world, and there's a couple of different reasons why. They have seen in other parts of the world how trade relationships lead to colonization, and they want very, very badly to avoid that circumstance. So they essentially cut off trade with the rest of the world. The only exception is they trade with Dutch and Chinese. That's it. Nobody else. There's good things and bad things about that, right? We know a lot of cultural diffusion takes place as a result of trade relationships. So, that's one negative, but the positive is they kind of avoid being colonized for a very, very long time, long after a lot of other places are colonized. The other reason they choose isolationism is because they don't really want Christianity being forced upon them. We know from exploration that people, European powers go exploring for a variety of reasons, mostly the three G's: God, glory, and gold. So they don't want Christianity forced upon them. So isolating itself from the rest of the world will prohibit Japan from being kind of Christianized against their will, for lack of a better term. So enter Matthew Perry, Commodore Matthew Perry. He's an American naval officer, and what he does is he sails in Japanese port and essentially demands that Japan establish a trade relationship with America. There's the real estate is becoming more and more scarce around the world with regard to imperialism, as all of these superpowers grab up these areas and establish trade relationships with various different colonies and countries. Japan is, long sought after. So Matthew Perry's job is to, quote unquote, open Japan to the rest of the world. So under threat of war, Matthew Perry demands that Japan establish a trade relationship with the United States. Japan thinks about it for a little bit and then realizes that they can't possibly stand toe-to-toe with America, so they kind of relent and they sign what's called the Treaty of Kanagawa. The Treaty of Kanagawa establishes an official trade relationship with the United States. This allows the United States to sell American manufactured goods in Japan, and Japan has officially been opened, quote unquote. So this long period of isolation that Japan had lived under during the Tokugawa shogunate is no more, and Japan has officially been opened for business to the rest of the world, starting with America. And after America establishes these trade relationships with Japan, a lot of other countries will follow suit. So this is the kind of the process by which Japan becomes imperialized and colonized and kind of open to the rest of the world. So tomorrow we will take a look at how Japan responds to this. That's really the next chapter of the story, right? So your classwork today is you're going to take a look at a couple of different documents about the opening of Japan. That's what this topic is called typically. And you're going to answer some questions based on those documents. Make sure you answer the exit slip and make sure you submit it prior to midnight tonight so that you're accounted as being present for today. If anyone has questions or needs help, I do have virtual office hours, so you can pop in during virtual office hours if you have any questions or you need help at all. So that's pretty much that. So if nothing else, enjoy the rest of your asynchronous Wednesday, and I'll see you guys back here again live tomorrow. Have a good one.